Good evening. I would like to call our regular business meeting to order and ask the treasurer to call the roll.
President Baker.
Present.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Vice President Cole.
Present.
Ms. Gibbs. Ms. Hudson. Mr. Peretti. Ms. Reyes.
Here.
You do have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. And I'd like to call on the city's Director of Education, Rhonda Johnson, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Johnson. Now, I'll briefly read through our agenda so we know the work we have before us this evening. We will take public comment right after adopting the agenda. We do have at least one speaker this evening. I'm trying not to. After which we will hear a report from our superintendent, after which we will hear a report from the internal auditor and treasurer, assuming they have reports to share with us this evening. We'll then take up our consent agenda, after which board members will share announcements and points of pride. Then we will adjourn the meeting. So having said that, the chair will now entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Treasurer?
President Baker.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Vice President Cole.
Yes.
Ms. Reyes.
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Please note the arrival of Board Member Hudson. All right, we will now move on to public comment. We do have one speaker this evening. Speakers are limited to 4 minutes. When I call your name, please approach the podium. There will be a timer that will show on the screen, and please do conclude when you arrive at the 0 hour. First speaker, Ruth Kolker. Topics: free speech on the public sidewalks, board action, develop a policy about leafleting on the public sidewalk in front of the school. Professor Kolker, please approach the podium. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening, President Baker, Vice President Cole, Treasurer Bohoric, Internal Auditor Smith, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Good. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I will be under my 4 minutes. I am here today to request that the City of Columbus School Board develop and implement a constitutional policy for administrators to use in responding to peaceful expressions of free speech in front of Columbus schools. I speak as a resident of the City of Columbus and a constitutional law professor. As you know, a principal came out to the public sidewalk on March 9th and 23rd to tell leafleters that they could not hand out flyers regarding a matter of public interest to parents as their cars were idled while they were waiting to pick up their children from school. This is an unconstitutional response to leafleting activity because, as the United States Supreme Court has said, and I quote, "The public sidewalk adjacent to school grounds may not be declared off limits for expressive activity by members of the public." As someone who has taught constitutional law for over 30 years, it's my professional opinion that the principal violated the free speech rights of the leafleters by threatening to call security if they did not disperse. I have heard an audio clip of the May 23rd action and spoken to a legal observer who witnessed the activity. The leafleters were not interfering with traffic. They were not distributing offensive material. They were not putting the public safety at risk, and they were not seeking to communicate with children. Further, the audio clip reveals that the principal's primary objection was content-based, that she disagreed with the content of their message. Even content-neutral attempts to silence speech in a public forum must be subject to strict scrutiny, but it appears that this principal was not even acting on the basis of a content-neutral justification. Although school administrators were aware of the principal's first response to the leafleters, she was apparently not told to change her conduct because she sought to prevent leafleting again on March 23rd. Given the failure of the school district to address this issue on their own, I am here to urge you to develop and implement a constitutional policy so that administrators do not continue to violate people's free speech rights to communicate on matters of public concern in a public forum. Specifically, school administrators should be informed that the public has the right to leaflet on the public sidewalk adjacent to school grounds. I hope to meet with school administrators to discuss this matter further, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Professor, for your comments and for your dedication to free speech and civil liberties. Please know that the Columbus Board of Education and the Columbus City Schools are firm supporters and champions of the freedoms and the protections of the First Amendment. And though there are no specific board policies on leaflet distribution on public sidewalks outside our schools, our staff is instructed on best practices and case law. And this incident at one of our schools serves as an opportunity to remind our principals and staff of that information. I'm sure our communications team and our legal services team will have continued conversations with you and your colleagues. Thank you very much for coming down tonight.
Thank you.
Good night. And I do not believe we have any other speakers. Thank you very much. So let's move on then to our superintendent report. Mr. Superintendent, the floor is yours.
Good evening, President Baker, Vice President Cole, members of the board. Tonight, our district stands at just 26 days until the end of the school year. Students and staff throughout our district are focused on the work at hand, re-energized by the time off from our spring break. I'd like to take this moment to thank the City of Columbus, Mayor Ginther, and Education Director Johnson, Columbus Recreation and Parks, and a long list of community partners who aided in providing our students with safe spring break options. I believe the effort, called Schools Out C-Bus, was successful because our students were engaged in positive activities, learning did not take a break, and families were given a wide range of opportunities and ideas to keep their children safe. Those same efforts, including the Schools Out website with lists of free activities, extended hours, and discounts to major attractions, will be active again when school's out for summer in just 26 days. It's our goal to finish this year strong, focused on providing our students with the best academic supports and with an environment most conducive to learning and growth. That includes ensuring that our buildings and classrooms are safe and distraction-free. Safety has been a focus of this board on numerous occasions, including your investment of time in a series of special meetings. On May 2nd, we'll take a closer look at one of the safety issues, discipline. As I shared before, our overall discipline rates are down with measurable decreases in suspensions. I can tell you, though, that Columbus is no different than our counterparts in other major cities, and we nearly mirror the national trend in terms of suspensions and specific demographic attributes that are disproportionately represented. The numbers are going to show that in Columbus, as well as in our Ohio 8 counterparts, there are disproportionate numbers of male students, African American students, and students with disabilities that face suspensions. Good news is, although the national numbers are about the same, we do fare slightly better, and we have numerous examples of buildings where there is no disproportionality. But you know that our team is not one to settle for status quo or even just slightly better, and so I look forward to the discussion next week about the proactive steps we are taking as a district and at the building level to address these matters. Next, I want to share some breaking news. Late this afternoon, we learned that 2 of our schools are recognized as among the nation's best. Columbus Alternative and Centennial High Schools are included in this year's U.S. News and World Report Best High Schools rankings. Columbus Alternative High School came in 49th, Centennial ranked 133rd. Both have earned silver medals in the national ranking category, a testament to the hard work of faculty, staff, and the community. It's also another illustration that for our students, your demography does not determine your destiny. The news came just days after we learned that one of our principals is being recognized as Ohio's National Distinguished Principal by the Ohio Association of Elementary School Administrators. We want to celebrate Wineland Park Elementary School Principal Rhonda Peoples, who is so deserving of this honor, and here to make the official presentation is the Executive Director of the Ohio Association of Elementary School Administrators, Dr. Julie Davis.
Well, thank you very much. I am delighted to be here and accompanied by some OAESA staff and board members to join in celebrating this wonderful recognition for Rhonda Peoples, Columbus Public Schools, and also the school community. This award marks the 33rd year that a distinguished principal has been selected by our Principals Association. The criteria for selection of the distinguished principal is set forth by OAESA as well as our national affiliate, NAESP. It requires the honorees to be selected for achievements above and beyond those expected in the usual school program. In addition, each must have been a principal for 5 years, maintain high expectations for students as well as faculty, show evidence of outstanding contributions to school and the profession, and be an established, respected member of the community. The process for selecting our National Distinguished Principal is quite comprehensive. It begins with an opportunity for individuals to be recognized. Once they've been nominated by a recognition, applications are sent to those individuals. The completed anonymous applications are read by members of our recognition service team. The scores of the readers are averaged and totaled for each application. Qualifying candidates are then notified and interviewed by yet another separate team of principals. The interviewers determine the finalists, who were visited by yet another team of our members of administrators. With each phase of the selection process, the reviewers assess the qualifications and validate the evidence that's been presented to ensure that the applicant indeed does deserve to be called Ohio's Distinguished Principal. This visitation team shared from the moment we walked into Principal Peoples' building, we could sense a strong positive vibe. When introduced to Principal Peoples, as she was called, we were struck with the intensity of a woman who had a clear vision and a vibrant, caring personality. She hugged her staff members as she approached them and was extremely complimentary to each person that she had a conversation with. We were impressed that she knew all of her students by name and had a personalized comment to share with each of them. Daily morning meetings or town hall meetings with the student body showcase the sense of school community and dedication the staff has to working with each student to ensure that he or she is successful within the school environment and outside within their neighborhood. It was evident that everyone shared the same vision and passion for accomplishing their common goals. All of the staff buy into what they're working towards, whether it was PBIS, empowering teachers with job-embedded professional development, or literacy coaching. Principal Peoples is entrenched in her surrounding school community, which shines through multiple programs that have been established to support parents and students to increase parental involvement, improve attendance rates, and encourage early childhood education. She is such an inspiration to educators, and the visitation team thought she is such genuine, real stuff. OAESA is proud to recognize Ms. Rhonda Peoples as the 2017 Ohio National Distinguished Principal. I'm going to ask Rhonda to come up with me now. Thanks, Rhonda. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm very pleased to present this temporary certificate. You'll get a lovely plaque. We really went all out for you. You'll get a lovely plaque, and we are just so thrilled. Congratulations to you. An official, as you know, award celebration will be held at our professional conference. The culminating luncheon is our awards luncheon, where you and your guests certainly come, and you will be celebrated along with some of our other awardees, and that will be June 16th here at the Hilton Easton in Columbus. Additionally, our national affiliate hosts a wonderful celebration of principals and what's great throughout our nation. Rhonda will have a chance to meet her counterparts from each state. I'll accompany her for 2 days in October, and we just said she will have the time of her life. It's an amazing experience to learn best practices from other colleagues throughout our country and a way to highlight what is terrific right here in Columbus, Ohio. So we are very proud of you. Again, congratulations to Rhonda, Wineland Park School, your staff, your parents, your students for sure, and the whole school community. Dr. Good, congratulations, and Board of Education, congratulations.
Principal, would you like to say a few words? Almost got away.
Okay, speech. Well, I have been known to keep it real. Okay. So, what I want to say is it is a privilege to influence one child. So, to be recognized in this work is an exceptional honor. I am humbled to have received this recognition within a field of several distinguished nominees and colleagues who I've worked beside in Columbus City Schools since 2008. I know that I did not get here by myself. I appreciate the Columbus City Schools for entrusting me with their school community, with their neighborhoods. I've had an opportunity to grow and thrive under the leadership of Dr. Good, Dave Baker, Catherine Mosier, Ronnie Harrelson, all of them, Maria Stockard, have in one way or another inspired my work in urban education. I also want to thank OSA for recognizing that continuous school improvement is just that, it's continuous. But that what matters is what happens every day for kids and families in our school buildings, regardless of the demography. I also want to recognize my staff. They will bring me to tears, so they came out through the traffic and stood beside me like they do every single day. Not behind me, not in front of me, but beside me. I know beside every good administrator is an amazing staff, and I thank them so much for giving me joy every day. Okay. I also want to thank Dr. Davis, who is just fabulous in all of her ways. She's been so supportive through this process, and Donna Ball, who's so kind and has kind of walked me through this very overwhelming time that, again, I am so humbled to have had the opportunity to experience. This will be what I consider my legacy in education, and hopefully, as I share this with my students, that they can know that anything is possible when they just put a little grit and hard work to the floor. So thank you again.
Do you want to say anything?
So that's just the first of our two inspirational leaders in the district that we'll be honoring this evening. President Baker, I believe you'll share the other.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Superintendent. So I would like to call on Executive Director Danny Graves, who's going to talk to us about another special recognition.
Thank you, President Baker. Well, in addition to Ms. Peoples, just a few weeks ago, another one of our excellent administrators was honored for her work at one of our elementary schools. She was recognized as Principal of the Year for her work and leadership at Parkmore Elementary School, for her focus on data, for her focus on bringing a positive climate to the school, for the implementation of the leadership, or the Leader in Me program, for the robotics program, and a host of other things that is too many for me to mention. I want to introduce to you Ms. Charmaine Campbell, as she was recognized as the Ohio Alliance of Black School Educators Principal of the Year. Ms. Charmaine Campbell. And I do want to ask Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole was gracious enough to attend the ceremony as well. So, Mr. Cole, I believe you have a few words you would like to share as well.
Oh, absolutely. I just want to say how encouraged I am by both principals, first and foremost. What I was most impressed and what I continue to be most impressed by each of you is not only your talent and acumen in your job, but the staff that work with you every day. I have several stories. One with you, where I met you first at Beatty Trevitt, and I knew you were a star then. So to see how far you're coming and how quickly it's happening, and to know that the impact that is on the youngsters there and your staff, who are, I just couldn't believe the overwhelming comments that came from your staff about the morale in the building, about the challenges, but still the fact that they felt encouraged every day that they stepped foot in that building, they believe vehemently in your leadership and they see it clearly. Whatever vision it is you're sharing with them, they have bought into it fully. I see that at Wyland Park. I have a story about Miss Torrey, who's sitting right there. Miss Torrey worked with my son, William. My son was speech delayed when he started his academic career in Columbus City Schools, and she worked with him directly. He went on to a French immersion school where he took off like a rocket. I thank her for that, and I'm glad you allowed us to keep our son because she wanted to take him home. But I just say that all to say that you all are both just amazing leaders, amazing building administrators. I thank you so much for your hard work, and I was just really impressed by what I hear and see in your staff, as well as your achievements. God bless you. If you have anything to say, come on back.
I tried to slide by. But we know that it is not possible here in Columbus City Schools. We do not slide. I like to give honor to God, who's the head of my life. I know that I say that a lot, but I have to give honor where honor is due. I am deeply humbled by receiving this award, having been only a principal for 2.5 years. And I'm just thankful for those who see the hard work that we put in, and they understand the commitment we have to our students and our staff and the community daily. I also want to give a special thank you to Dr. Good, because you always come into the building and you're encouraging. You know, it makes a difference when your leadership is there and they see the work that you do and they comment on it in a positive way. So I want to thank you publicly for always recognizing the work that we do at Parkmore. I want to thank Mrs. Alicia Gillison for her support and being like an unofficial mentor. She's there whenever I have a question that needs to be answered. And thank my boss, Danny Graves. You know, whenever he comes into the building, the students say, that's Miss Campbell's boss. And I just thank all of the other administrators in Columbus City Schools and the board members for your support and your commitment to the students here in Columbus City Schools. Again, thank you for the recognition. Thank you for the support. And I look forward to seeing you guys in my building on May 17th. It's our Leadership Day. We will be having an expose showing off the Leader in Me program. So if you would like to know more about it, May 17th, 11 a.m. to 2:15, Parkmore Elementary School.
So we're going to invite Ms. Peoples and Charmaine, and why don't we have Danny and April and Catherine, if you're here, come on up, and Alicia and the board certainly for a photograph.
Mr. Superintendent, does that conclude your report?
It does indeed.
All right, thank you very much. I think I'll speak on behalf of the board and just say we're just so proud of our staff again tonight, as always. Thank all of you who were here for that special recognition. And if you do need to leave right now, that's perfectly fine. We won't hold it against you. Have a good night. All right, then let's move on to our internal auditor. Madam Internal Auditor, have you a report to share with the board this evening?
Thank you, President Baker. I don't have a report, but I would like to announce that Audit and Accountability is meeting this Thursday at 3:30 in the Cabinet Room.
Thank you for that. All right. Then let's move on to our treasurer. Mr. Treasurer, have you a report for the board this evening?
I certainly do.
Very good. Let's hear it.
Thank you, President Baker, Vice President Cole, members of the board. This evening, we have the financial report for the month ending March 31. This report was reviewed, presented to and reviewed by the FAC, the Finance and Appropriations Committee meeting, which met last week on Wednesday, which was, I think, a somewhat delayed meeting because of spring break, but we did get that in, and this was one of the items on the agenda there at that meeting. For the month ending March, revenues and expenditures is shown here. This is the second month in a row and the 6th out of 9 months for the fiscal year that year-to-date actual revenues have exceeded the planned revenue, and at this time we expect this favorable variance to hold true through to the end of the year. This is the 9th month in a row, so for every month this year, our expenditures have run behind planned expenditures, and this too we expect to hold true through to the balance of the year. So we look at revenues and expenditures, the actual numbers. The $26.8 million that we're ahead on revenues is about plus 4% to plan, and the expenditures are just 4.7 under plan year to date, and that's actually less than 1% variance on those items. When we look into the detail of the revenue side, property taxes reflect the collection of our newly approved operating levy from last November. This is the first half tax collections for those. And as planned, they ran pretty close to about $35 million above plan as we had expected. Again, this is through the first half tax collection. State revenue this month fell slightly to under plan year to date, but is still well within just 0.1% of the plan. There's been no significant change in the other operating revenue. The non-operating revenues fell about $4.5 million under plan, further under plan, for this month, and that's related to the return of advances that would have been anticipated based upon last year's activity, but were not required this year. It simply shows you the quick breakdown, the relative relationship of each of these categories to our totals. And then again, month to month, since we used last year as a predictor for this year, you can see that it holds pretty true, but in the months January through March, since we're in a collection period, you can see that the advances can cause some timing differences, and also that the actual is well above plan, and again, due to the receipt of new property tax revenue. On the expenditure side, personnel has continued its climb. Over plan, another approximately $2 million over plan to $9.6 million over plan, and that is in keeping with our projection to end of the year, approximately $16 million over plan. Non-personnel dropped further under plan this year, actually to its highest level for the year at about $9 million under plan. We've looked at that. We expect this non-personnel to continue to come in under plan. I actually included about a $9 million variance in that area in our planning for the forecast. Community schools moved a little bit further over plan. I expect that to reverse itself and end the year, as I've said before, at about $2 million under plan based upon what I see from the state and what's, as far as the total number and what's being deducted on a monthly basis. There was no change in the operating expenditure variances from last month. Again, a display of the individual items. You can see that we're very, very close to plan in all the item categories. Month to month, again, fairly good predictor of how our flows occur using last year as an example. All in all, our revenues are over plan, expenditures are under plan. That's in the direction that is most favorable to us, and through our conservative planning and forecasting, this is what we expect, but we're very close. I mean, these variances on a percentage basis are very, very small in my book. So I like it in that direction, but we're very, very close. So that concludes my report for the month ending March, and I'll answer any questions, or will at least attempt to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Are there questions from board members for the treasurer on the report? Hearing none, does that conclude your report, Mr. Treasurer?
That does conclude my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will now take up our consent agenda, and is there a motion that we do so?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion from board members on any piece of legislation? Yes, Mr. Peretti.
First, I just apologize for coming in late. I really just want to point out just a few things. 12.1, just another good example of how we were able to change our policies, and it's still working, and we're still keeping up with it as our field trip policy changed. And I always just really happy to see that as we hone in our policies. And then, again, we have a litany of more money going to our deferred maintenance, and it's just such a great thing to see that the money that we asked for in the levy is going to the projects that we said that we were going to fund. So I'm just very happy to see that. That's all, just a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Peretti. Any other questions on any piece of legislation contained within the consent agenda this evening, board members? Hearing none, Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Hudson?
Yes, but I abstained from 14.1.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes,
That motion carries.
thank you very much. Now, Mr. Superintendent, the floor is yours.
Vice President Cole, members of the board, it's a pleasure for me to introduce someone I told you we'd be bringing to you just as soon as we found the right fit. And although I'm certain he's going to lend his expertise to the appointment, some might think it's just because he has a W at the beginning of his last name, since all the other administrators at that site do, and that's the reason we selected him. But it's a real honor to introduce to you newly approved from Bridgegate Community School 712 to high school assistant principal at Columbus Afrocentric Early College, Mr. Henry Warren. Would you please stand? And the principal of the high school is just clapping and clapping and continuing to clap. Tanya Walker joined us last year from Sandusky and has done a marvelous, marvelous job opening Afrocentric. Thank you so much for your leadership and really setting an extraordinary standard of achievement and character for that building. We're just getting rave reviews, and so the stakes are very high, Mr. Warren, but you come well qualified, highly recommended, and we're excited to welcome you aboard to the community. And next year we expect to see you up here getting one of those awards. So.
No pressure. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Let's move on now to announcements. Board members, have you any brief announcements or any points of pride you might like to share? I believe Board Member Reyes has something upcoming.
Thank you, President Baker. Yes, I just want to remind everyone that we'd like you to join us in our annual Children's Day celebration this Saturday, April 29th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and you can visit any of our sites. So no matter where you're at, you can go to Centennial High School, Fort Hays High School, Walnut Ridge, Marion Franklin, Columbus Global Academy, or West High School. All high schools will be celebrating with their elementary, middle schools kids. We've had great attendance in previous years, anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 individuals. This is an opportunity to come and see the talents of our kids. They will be performing in all sorts of different mediums, so I encourage you to please come out. Even if you are not a part of our Columbus City Schools, we encourage you to come and see us, because we hope that when you come and see our vibrancy, that you will soon want to be a Columbus City School person yourself. In addition, I also want to remind folks that we are still doing the Kicking It with Columbus City Schools with our kid-produced, student-produced, student-starred radio program on WCBE. We are having Northland and Briggs on May 27th, and I hope if you had an opportunity, this last Saturday, Independence High School was on. So we will be featuring our high schools again the rest of the year, and they air every last Saturday of the month. So the next high schools will be Northland and Briggs, May 27th. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Brown.
Yes, just wanted to mention last Saturday evening, My wife and I had the pleasure of attending Columbus Symphony Orchestra's recognition of Bruce Carlson, a middle school band leader, and as Music Educator of the Year. It was a great honor. It was a great event. He was introduced by Dr. Drosty, who is the former band conductor at OSU, marching band conductor at OSU, a long time. And Bruce and his family were there, and there were great things said about him, and he had great message for those in attendance. It was followed by an incredible orchestra concert that was very memorable. And very proud of him. He is getting that honor a year after Betty Hill received that same honor. So it's, you know, a great educator, good person. I'm glad I had a chance to meet him and attend.
Very good. Thank you. Any other announcements or points of pride? Seeing none, the chair will now, I do have one more thing to say. There is no executive session this evening. I know you're all disappointed. The chair will now entertain a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Treasurer, please.
Vice President Cole? Yes. Ms. Gibbs? Oops, I'm sorry. Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
And Mr. Brown?
Sure.
Motion carried.
We stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.